So I have this online alert that sends me an email whenever someone mentions me on Reddit because I am a well-adjusted person. Hi, I'm T1J.
Follow me.
But every now and then one of my videos gets discussed on Reddit, and I like to see what people are saying. And it's especially interesting to see which Reddit communities appreciate my videos. And one remarkable thing is that my videos have been shared multiple times over the years on both Kotaku in Action and Gamergazi. Which, if you don't know, those two subreddits are kind of diametrically opposed when it comes to social and political ideology. If I'm not mistaken, Gamergazi was literally created to criticize and ridicule the type of people that would post in Kotaku in Action. It's a Gamergate thing. I don't like saying that word out loud because it seems to have a Beetlejuice effect of summoning bitter trolls to your comment section and Twitter mentions. Anyway, it might seem weird to some that people on opposite sides of the political spectrum could all like my videos. And perhaps it has something to do with this idea from Redditor Enleet. He leans towards social justice in general, but yeah, a lot of the time he does seem like a middle of the road kind of guy. Now, to be honest, I always found this weird ever since I first read it. I personally don't think I am or ever have been middle of the road. I'm extremely liberal, at least by American standards, so much so that I often feel out of place in this country. And I consider myself a progressive. I don't think I'm middle of the road on anything. But of course, this is a matter of perspective. Most of my friends are liberals, and I feel like I'm to the left of most of them on most issues. But the more people I interact with, especially on the internet, the more left I realize that people can actually be without being lunatics. So maybe I might seem more moderate or centrist to people on the far left, but I'm not actually sure if that's what's happening here. What I actually suspect is that certain members of the modern progressive movement have created sort of a profile of what a progressive is and what they should believe. And if you fail to meet that standard, they are hesitant, if not completely hostile, to the idea of accepting you as their ally. Needless to say, I often deviate from this profile. I'm extremely vocal about free expression, especially when it comes to art and entertainment. I think context matters more than what specific words you use, and I think trigger warnings are icky. And because of things like this, at least one frequenter of Gamergazi, which I would essentially describe as a progressive community, is hesitant to ally themselves with me, instead placing me in a distant middle of the road category. But also because of these deviations, some of my videos are shared and enjoyed not only by people who aren't progressives, but by people who hate progressives. And incidentally, I've noticed that right-wingers and other kinds of anti-progressives are much more willing to ally themselves with people based on superficially shared viewpoints, even if they disagree on like 90% of everything else. You know how right-wingers applaud people like Bill Maher or Sam Harris when they criticize Islam, even though both of those people are super liberal by any reasonable standard. I'm not sure if that's a strength or a weakness, but it's just something I noticed. But this is interesting because people who are classified as middle of the road are often accused of pandering. A very good example of this is popular YouTuber Philip DeFranco, who, full disclaimer, is one of my favorite YouTubers. But he is about as middle of the road as a person can be, sometimes annoyingly so. He makes a conscious effort to almost always equally represent all sides of every issue. And because of this, he constantly gets accused of pandering. And I watch him all the time, like every day, and I really don't think that's what he's doing. But because he often doesn't solidly select what people think is the correct opinion, they think that he's subtly legitimizing the other incorrect opinions, which really isn't how we should be thinking about most issues anyway, but I digress. But the key here is that even if DeFranco isn't pandering, he still has a very large right-wing and anti-progressive presence in his audience, which seems to be much larger than the left-wing progressive portion. Now, they're not nearly as insufferable as the comment section on anti-feminist videos, but they're there. Because, like I implied, those people latch on to any minor instance of validation. And I saw this beginning to happen with some of my videos. Now, to be clear, the Kotaku in Action subreddit is full of people with whom I disagree on almost everything about social justice issues. But clearly, there are some subjects where they see eye to eye with me. And like DeFranco, I've always thought it was important to share my opinions on things, even if it potentially alienated a portion of my audience. Unlike him though, I'm uncomfortable when people who have what I feel are harmful ideologies feel validated by my videos. Like, if you think feminism is evil, or if you downplay racial injustice, or if you belittle trans identities, I'm just not on your side. Yeah, maybe we both agree that PewDiePie isn't a Nazi, but our political similarities probably end very shortly after that. So I made it a point to try and make it more clear when where I stood. Now, I have been accused by several people of changing my content. Some people have even literally unironically suggested that I have been brainwashed, which is a level of incredulous cynicism I've never seen before. Brainwashed. I mean, yeah, I have a shrine in my closet where I pray to Christy Winters 5 times a day, but that doesn't mean I'm brainwashed. I mean, my views have become more nuanced over the years, but they haven't drastically changed at all. I've been making social justice videos since 2012. I think what actually changed is the culture of the internet and people's willingness to tolerate opinions that they don't agree with. I will concede, however, that my focus has changed, so if that's what you're talking about, then fine. YouTuber Riley Dennis made a video recently called "Is Genital Preference Transphobic?" And I like Riley's videos fine, but I clicked on this video fully intending to disagree with it. But like most of her videos, it's thoughtful and smart, and I actually ended up not really having a problem with it. Of course, this video was targeted by anti-feminists, most of whom very clearly only viewed the title and not the content of the video, but you know, that's what they do. Anyway, at the end of the video, Riley says this.
And the last thing I want to say about this is that if you'd rather not have sex with a woman who has a penis, maybe just don't make such a huge deal of it. Trans women are often afraid of not being found attractive or desirable after coming out, and you're not helping. If you really want to be an ally to trans people, you could just not talk about it. And by that, I'm not trying to censor you, okay? So don't pretend this is censorship. You have the freedom to say whatever you want. I'm just asking you to consider if it's necessary to say those things when they reflect harmful or violent rhetoric.
And that sort of gives you an idea of what I'm talking about when I said my focus has changed. If it was 2013, I very well may have made a video expressing the idea that genital preference isn't transphobic, because I believe that. But I wouldn't make that video today, because it would serve little purpose other than me using my platform to give undeserved validation to actual transphobes. And I don't want to do that. No, I'm not responsible if other people misinterpret my videos, but if I perceive that more harm than good is going to come to causes that I believe in, then I'm just going to be a lot more careful about what I'm doing. Now, this is not to say that I'm going to avoid making videos just because they're controversial or that I'm trying to create an echo chamber. I just made a video the other day that half my audience disagreed with. I know that that's how a lot of you are going to represent that, but that is not what I mean. I still want us to challenge each other and be open to disagreement. And this is a personal choice. You can do your content the way that you want to. But it does mean that I have been putting more care into how I present my opinion so that you can really understand where I'm coming from. And so that I don't unintentionally embolden people with ideas I find reprehensible. I think there's value in DeFranco's approach. We always need to be willing to hear and understand other people's points of view. Most topics are more complex than we make them out to be, and it's rare that one side has it 100% correct. But sometimes playing devil's advocate all the time just gets tiresome and counterproductive. And you just have to let people know what you actually stand for. That's just me though. What do you think? Thank you for watching my video. So a few YouTubers have done this thing where they make a survey for their audience to fill out just to get an idea of demographics and opinions about the channel, and I've created one myself. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to take the survey. It's completely optional, you don't have to. It should take about 10 to 20 minutes to complete. It's completely anonymous and all the questions are optional. You can skip any one you want. Thanks in advance if you do fill it out. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more discussions about social issues, current events, and pop culture. And if you find any value in my videos, or if you just want to support me, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. And remember, be honest, be assertive, be kind, and be open-minded. Stay handy.